Ezekiel Elliott. He wants to wear number 15, but for who will he wear it other than the Chiefs? Now, this was odd the way it happened yesterday. It was reported, and if you look at the report, it was very carefully written to never come out and say that the Eagles, the Jets, or the Bengals had made offers to Ezekiel Elliott. It was couched as Elliott wants to play for one of three teams, the Bengals, the Jets, or the Eagles. Okay, that's fine. But none of those teams, as far as I can tell, want him. Zach Taylor. Here, let's listen to Zach Taylor from last night addressing.
I love this Zach Taylor.
That Ezekiel Elliott's.
It's great.
Ezekiel Elliott's three teams that he wants to play for are the Bengals, the Jets, and the Eagles. Here's Zach Taylor. Basically, that's news to me. Have a listen.
There's a lot of great players that are available right now. We like our team as where it's at right now, but it's always funny when things get thrown around. Sometimes it's the first you hear of it, but that's just the way life works.
So sometimes it's the first you hear of it. Yeah. And you know what? At least one of the other teams on that list reacted the same way. And my understanding is none of those three teams have made an offer or intend at this point to make an offer, or maybe at any point, to Ezekiel Elliott. So, hey, back to what we talked about in Seg 1. This is what happens when you have a good agent. This is how a good agent stirs the pot. This is how a good agent sparks the market. You talked in the past about how if Lamar Jackson had an agent at the scouting combine, he'd be working all the angles, talking to all the people, pulling in favors, getting things done. The media is part of that too. The agent calls up a reporter and stirs it up and gets it out there. And it really isn't. When you read the article at ESPN.com, it never says those teams are interested. It's brilliantly couched. There's never a misrepresentation that the Bengals, Jets, or Eagles actually want Ezekiel Elliott. This is Ezekiel Elliott's Christmas list. He's on Santa's lap saying, I want to play for the Bengals, the Jets, or the Eagles. Never mind the fact that none of those teams want me. That's what I want. And so it gets his name out there. It gets teams to maybe pay attention to him, and it gets somebody to possibly offer him the contract he's yet to see, Peter.
You know, Ezekiel Elliott, I think, is feeling what so many running backs in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years have felt. He's a good NFL running back. There was a time early on in his career where he had a great impact, in the game. But the last couple of years, he's been a good NFL running back who wasn't the best running back on his own team. Tony Pollard was. So now he gets free, and in his age 28 year is looking for a contract, and he wants to play for a contender for a really good team. So what was said and what was written and all that stuff is logical. It gets his point across. I want to play for a contender, and I'm still an impact guy. Well, he can want whatever he wants. But the fact is, no one really gives big second contracts. And again, look, I'll say this. Miles Sanders got what, Mike? 4 years, $24 million? That's a nice NFL contract, okay? But you would think that a guy like Miles Sanders, who is whatever he is, 25, 26 maybe, you would think that Miles Sanders, coming off, the couple of years he's had in Philadelphia, might do a little bit better than that. But running backs have very simply become devalued because so many of them come out every year. And if you were a team, why wouldn't you say, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you're Howie Roseman, he's a smart guy, why wouldn't you say, hey, listen, we've got Kenneth Gainwell, who came out of nowhere. We got Boston Scott, who came out of nowhere. I'm forgetting one. But basically, we're doing fine with guys who are making $2 million a year on the cap. And you know what? We'll draft another one this year, and we'll continue. We'll keep the line moving. But we are not spending $6 or $7 million a year on a position that we know that history says. Kenneth Gainwell had a 100-yard game in the playoffs. And so we know that we can do better by, or at least as good, by simply paying guys at a low rate of pay. I mean, look, I feel bad for running backs, but that's just sort of right now the law of the land in the NFL. Running backs kind of get screwed. And if you're Ezekiel Elliott, I think what you're going to have to do is do a contract for 1 year for a low base, let's say $3 million, whatever it is, and which I'm sure is going to make him blanch, and then do extraordinary, incentives for the contract. If I were him, that's what I'd be looking to do.
But you're right, Peter, and this is something Chris Sims and I have been talking about a lot lately. The running back position, Austin Ekeler, he's dismayed at the fact that the Chargers won't pay him. They've given him an opportunity to shop himself in trade. It's not like anybody is rushing to sign Austin Ekeler to acquire his rights and to pay him the kind of money he's looking for. 8-figure salaries for running backs are becoming more and more rare, and it's no surprise or coincidence that there are multiple guys out there now with $10 million or more in salary this year that have questions. Derrick Henry, is he going to be traded? Dalvin Cook, is he going to be traded? What's going to happen with Joe Mixon in Cincinnati? What's going to happen with Alvin Kamara in the Saints? All of them have 8-figure or more, or not, somewhere above $10 million as their contract for the year. And it's no coincidence either that Tony Pollard, the guy who takes over for Ezekiel Elliott, signed his franchise tender yesterday to prevent it from being yanked by the Cowboys if they would maybe draft somebody much cheaper. Ezekiel Elliott has to factor in. He's made great money the past few years. His $12 million plus last year, because of his contract structure, he never would have gotten. They would have cut him a year ago. His contract structure had that money guaranteed in 2021 for 2022. That was a brilliant device, but now it's done, and he's got to accept the fact that the money's just not going to be out there for him or other veteran running backs with great name recognition. Let's take a break.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.